Greetings, greetings, greetings. This is Divine Soul with Ashaki. I am Ashaki Ali, your spiritual guide, intuitive, and living oracle, here to deliver another message. Thank you so much for joining me on this particular day on this channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, I greatly appreciate you. And if you're new to this is the first time that you're seeing me, I would love if you would join the Divine Soul family by subscribing to the channel, hitting the little bell so that you are notified of my uploads, and then also connecting with me on other platforms, because I am on Instagram, Facebook, and I also have a website, ashakiali.com, which I will put all of the links in the description box. So welcome back. I'm here with a new video for this particular week. And on this week, I want to talk about more ways of using our ancestral wisdom to improve our lives. So I have had multiple people approach me or ask me questions about working with an altar, an ancestor altar. I actually have created a video regarding ancestor altars. I'll also make sure that I connect that video to this one so that you can easily watch that content on that video about ancestor altars. But beyond the altar, how else can we or should we be working with our ancestors? You know, it's more than us giving offerings to them for them to bless us. It's much more behind working with the altar. And I'm going to be real with you. Since I have, and I think I've said this before, but since I have had an ancestor altar for the past probably 6 years, at least 5, my life, not to say every day is easy, but the levels of peace and joy and manifestation and different things that I experience in my life now versus before, when I was not living my life, living my truth, are exponential. So this video is all about using ancestral wisdom. How can you tap into it? How can you tune into it? So first of all, our ancestors are known and unknown. And I know, you know, everybody has ancestors and people connected to us in our bloodline that were not the best people. We get that. And there are ways of detaching from their, you know, not allowing them to feast when you're feeding and giving offerings and benefiting from that, because, you know, so they need to rectify their transgressions. But that's another video for another time. But this video is about how do we tap into ancestral wisdom to improve our life? How do we do that? So first, again, we start with creating the connection. Our ancestors are readily available for us to communicate with. But oftentimes they don't communicate with us because we are not open to receive what they're trying to tell us. We are either just disconnected from the ancient ways of connecting to ancestors, as far as like I said, by using altars and different things, or we reject the connection. And then some of you are just so detached from your own inner wisdom, higher wisdom, that you can't hear or see the messages that they try to give you. So creating the altar is the first step, in my opinion, or one important piece of the puzzle as far as creating a connection with our ancestors. Another way or something else to consider being able to tap into ancestral wisdom is researching and finding out who they are. So when I was a little girl, when I was growing up, my grandmother and my great-grandmother shared many stories about many different ancestors, people that their mothers or their aunts or their dads or whomever, you know, all of these people. Some of these people I never knew. I just heard stories about them. Their names are ingrained on my soul because I was taught about them. Because of that, I was able to carry the stories. And I call myself my family's griot because all of the stories that my grandmother taught me, I now in turn share with others. And I've still been learning more through the messages that the ancestors have provided to me in dreams. So another way that they will communicate with you is they will show themselves in dreams. There'll be a familiarity, or my experience has been there'll be a familiarity between myself and whomever that particular ancestor is. Some of them are not named. I don't know their names, but I just know that they are in my line. But by knowing the names of particular ones and researching my family, I've been able to create a family tree, and gain information from things such as census documents, newspaper articles, Social Security index, and different things. Couple things. I know some people say that's mundane. How can you possibly get ancestral wisdom from looking at a damn census document? Those census documents are gateways to more information. When I was researching my family, I learned a few important tidbits. One is the vast majority of my ancestors, even into what was Reconstruction, even into slavery era, were landowners and homeowners. They were not renters. They were not sharecroppers. They were the ones that were doing the sharecropping. Other people were working on their land, and they were being given a portion of the crop for those people working on their land. They owned their land that they worked on and lived on. They also owned their homes that they lived in. Whether they built the home themselves or they purchased it, they owned it. Now that keyed me into a few things about myself, because I was raised in a very poor situation. It taught me and showed me that wealth is my birthright. Ownership is my birthright. So my desire for certain things is natural in the fact that I come from a lineage of people that own. Many of you have the same desires, and you wonder why you want the cream of the crop, but you came from the slums. It's because it's in your birthright. Abundance is your birthright. I also found an interesting story by combining newspaper articles, the census documents, and wills. My great-grandfather, four times removed, he was a slave. He was appraised at $350, and he was given away in a will to his former owner's son. The former owner's son did not have him but a few years. His name was Frank Mace. My ancestor's name was Frank Mace. Frank Mace was only owned by that young man for a few years before slavery was abolished. But he continued to work for that family. Now, here's the interesting part that I found. The family refused to pay Papa Frank. So he and several other men, they formed a coalition, sued for damages, and were awarded money. Now that piece of history made another mystery to me come together, because as an adult, well, even as a child, my grandfather's family owned a lot of land. And I always wondered, how did Papa Samuel, who is my grandfather's grandfather, acquire such a large amount of land? He owned an entire block. How? When he was a slave, or his family, he comes from slaves. How? This minister in the South, how did he own land and then will it to his children, and they in turn build homes? How did this family come into this money? Then it came in the form of the story of Frank Mace, who was Papa Samuel's father. Frank Mace had the money from the lawsuit from not being paid for the wages. He took that money and he purchased land. Now, that, again, is ancestral wisdom. Frank could have easily allowed those that he worked for to exploit him or continue to exploit him. And he was about 47 years old during this time, I want to say. I think The census had him at 47, 48 years old. But instead of him allowing them to make him fearful and exploit him out of his money, he used his intelligence and his intellect and his charisma, because it was confirmed in a dream that he was the one that got these other people to stand with him to sue now, and prove their case in court. So if he could use his silver tongue and his charisma and strategize in order to gain that which was rightfully his, then why should I be here struggling for crumbs off the cake? It makes no perfect sense, as I am a daughter of Papa Frank. Essentially, I am my ancestors. So that is applying ancestral wisdom. It will empower you by learning these stories of your family. This will empower you, or it should empower you, to take control of your own life, to really understand the blood that flows through your body, that has made you up, that has brought you this far. The people that you come from. You can endure much more than you really think. And you can have the things that you desire. The whole, a teacher, spiritual teacher, once said that we desire these things because they're meant for us. We're not being lofty in our thoughts when we desire things. We have that hunger for things because our soul and spirit knows that we are deserving of them. We are worthy of having them. So that's the good side of applying ancestral knowledge and wisdom. But what about those individuals in our lineage that were not the best people? The alcoholics, the drug abusers, the womanizers, the harlots or whores or whomever. Those people that were on the darker side of things, that may not have lived the most moral of lives. How can we apply their life story into our own and become wiser from it? You learn from their mistakes. You apply the wisdom from the mistakes that they made, and you be sure that you don't go that path. If there's a long line of alcoholism in your family, alcoholism to the point of detriment, do you not think you'd be well advised to avoid drinking to excess or drinking at all? That's a way of applying ancestral wisdom. If you have a lineage of people that are poor or have experienced poverty because of poor money decisions, do you not think it'd be well advised to learn how to manage your finances more appropriately? If you come from a lineage of women that have been attracted to men that were abusive, and that's a running trend in your family, would you not be advised to seek out some type of generational healing and also caution when dating and pursuing love interests to avoid those pitfalls that have plagued your family? All of those things, acknowledging them and trying to work to avoid them, are ways of applying ancestral knowledge and wisdom. So this has been a shocking. I wanted to give you something to consider, to think about in dealing with ancestors. Because again, our ancestors are not just in existence to bless, even though they can and they do. And they protect us. But we can also learn lessons indirectly from the lives that they have led. But you first must get in touch with them. We must first connect with them. Even to the point of back to wisdom. If you come from a family of people that have died early from heart attacks, from poor lifestyle choices such as poor diet and lack of exercise, don't you think it'd be well advised that you eat well and that you work out? They didn't die in vain. Their life is a testament, should be something for you to learn from them. always. And because they do want you to flourish. The vast majority, I'm not going to say every ancestor is cheering us on, but typically the majority is. They want to see you flourish. They want to see you do well. But you got to learn the lessons and apply what they have endured to your own life to make your path just a little bit smoother. So this has been a Shaki Ali, Divine Soul with the Shaki. I hope you have enjoyed this message. I thank you so much for those that have subscribed. And again, if you are new to this channel, this is your first interaction with me, welcome. And I would hope that you will feel inclined to hit the subscribe button. If there's anything that I said in this video that has hit home, that was poignant at all, that resonated with your spirit, that even just made you consider, I would appreciate if you would like the video and share the video for me so that other people can find my content. Other than that, be sure to connect with me. If you want to review that other video on how to create an ancestor altar, please do so. And I will see you all next week, sending you an abundance of peace, love, light, and always balance. This has been a Shaki.